The more complex your game becomes, the more information you need to handle, and then and it becomes increasingly important to handle this information very carefully in a structured way so that you can easily access the information, edit the information without difficulty, and find it when you need to. So there's a couple of ways of doing this, but my favorite method is data-driven design. Now, what data-driven design is when you basically don't hard code any constants into the game. You keep those constants and that data in separate files that the game loads from. So I've got a few here. I'll just run over quickly. I've got my game settings text file and my key bindings text file. The game is loading all these constants, which, I mean, they're not really constants because they can be changed, but it's loading them all from the text file, and I don't have to hard code that to my game. And the key bindings too, I don't have to hard code the key bindings. So that's one way, but I found that writing text passes is a real pain in the butt. It's not difficult, but it's just annoying, I find. And so I've moved on to learning SQLite3 and go in the database way. And this allows you to use vast amounts of information and in a really well structured way. I mean, these text files are okay, but it's not particularly pretty. It's not stored very well. It's like having a table with one column and going down. I mean, you could make it look better, but there's only a limit to how far you can go with a text file. So I've got two databases here. My elemental database, which is the game, which has all armor, weapons, etc. in it, models, animations, and this is my save game database. I've kept them separate because I want the player to be able to copy the database, their save games, so they don't lose all their builds. So I'm just going to show you quickly the game before I get into what the databases look like. You might notice also that I've totally revamped my UI system, not just the looks, which I have revamped, no longer blue and black, but it's completely recoded and much more efficient than it used to be. Some may say that's a waste of time, but I don't consider it. Anyway, here's my UI system. Hope you like it. Still got some work to do on the right here, but anyway, I'm just going to show you my player editor. Now you can see here I've got my 3D window view and my 2D view, which I haven't put any buttons on yet, but that's coming. And you can see he's got two golden axes on his back, right? See, these golden axes are being loaded straight from the database. So the game is getting all the path files for all the models from the database and their IDs, and storing them in vector arrays, and then it's going to the save file database and going, okay, so he's actually using this weapon, so let's load that weapon ID 1 onto his back twice. So save game says 2 weapon IDs of 1, left and right hand, and then it goes to the database, finds what the path is, loads them up, and here they are. So that's that. You see that pretty easily, and you wouldn't notice this, but this is actually happening. I could have just hard coded it, but now because I haven't hard coded it, it's so much easier to edit, and I can add pretty much anything I want to the game. I can add 100 weapons without having to change a tiny bit of code, and they'll all have different stats, models, etc. You might not have thought about this, but it's also loading these animations. This dodgy idle animation and this model is being loaded straight from the paths given in the database. So I'm just going to close that down, and I'm going to show you what the databases look like. I use a program called SQLite Administrator to visually see my SQLite databases, because I don't particularly like coding them with SQL in a command prompt. It's kind of, not my thing. So I'll open here the save games, and I'll open here the database, and each one of these is a table. Abilities, character animations, character models, map info, weapon info. So let's go to the weapon database, and we'll go to our save game, character equipment. Now if you see here, we've got 3 weapons. I'm just going to pause this for a sec. Okay, you can see we have 3 weapons here. We have weapon ID 0, 1, and 2, and the first one is a polearm, the second one is a one-handed axe, and the third one is a staff. Now, if you remember now, when we started the game, the character loaded straight away with a bunch of 2 one-handed axes. So, if we look in our over here, we see the one-handed axe is weapon ID 1. And if we go over to our save game, save equipment table, we can see in the left hand it says 1, and the right hand weapon says 1. That means that in the left hand, the player has equipped weapon ID 1, which is an axe, and same in the right hand. So therefore, according to the database, the game was exactly in line. It was loading up these axes straight from what it told it to in the save game database. Now you can see here that it holds in this table a bunch of information about the weapon. So it even holds the weapon texture icon .dds string path, so it can load that, the GMF file path for the model, and a bunch of other information like weapon type and damage, etc. So that's just, I've added the abstract so that I don't have to add that in just to make it easier. So let's have a look at one-handed axe1.gmf. That's here. Alright, so here we go. That's exactly the weapon that we saw. Loaded straight from using this string that was taken from the database. So let's test that. So if the game was hard-coded, it would load in the same every time. But I'm going to unhard-code it. I'm going to change what the weapons are, and without changing any code inside, I'm going to make it so that he equips a staff in his right hand. So the staff is weapon ID 2, and I'll go 2 in the right hand. You'll notice I've made left hand weapon -1. This means that nothing is equipped. You might think, oh, why don't you just leave it null? Well, that's originally what I did. However, for some reason when when I loaded in using the SQL API, when I loaded from the database the null values, they turned out as 0 rather than null, which is no good. So I made it -1. So I'm just going to post that and close the database, and close the database. And now if we open our game again, I'll just skip that. You'll see now that we've loaded in a staff straight off the bat. So that's loaded straight from the game file. So I hope you're starting to be able to see how powerful this is. Now, let's say, for argument's sake, where was I? Sorry. I want to add in another weapon into the game. Well, it's really simple. I don't have to code anything. I just have to come in here, open my database, go to weapon info, and I just click the plus button and go, okay, weapon ID number 3, put in the name, put in the path, yada yada yada, and the weapon will be in the game, and it'll show up in the options to choose it once I actually make the menu icons and stuff to actually change weapons without just using keys. So I'm going to undo that. So yeah, that's pretty simple. And there's also the polearm. Now I can show you all 3 now as well with that. Let's open that up. I have hard-coded some keys. Hard-coded. To change the weapon, just to test this player editor out. So change it to the polearm. Change it to bug. Oh well, I'll fix that later. Change it to the dual-wield axes. Polearm axes, and I haven't coded anything to give me the yeah, that's a bug. I'm gonna have to fix that. To give me the staff. So currently the only way to see the staff is to load it in straight from the beginning. Oh yeah, you can can change into combat mode. Anyway, I'm hoping you're seeing how this is becoming powerful. Now say I'm playing the game and I've pretty much made the game, but I've got to balance everything. It's a PvP game. People are crying about how, this class is better than that class, and you got to balance things out. Well, I could go, oh yeah, okay, let's try that. Hold on, guys. I'm going to open my thing and I'm going to go to a number here. And I'm going to change the damage to whatever. That's not actually what it says here, but and now let's compile. Yep, compiling, guys. Compiling. Yep. Okay, guys, let's test it out. And we go in and we test it out. Oh no, that's not good. Okay. Oh, where the hell was I? Oh, what the heck? Okay, let's try 20 more. That's just gonna kill you. However, if you're trying to balance, you can go in straight into your database, and you can just change the values. And you know what? Anyone can do it, and it won't stuff it up. People can have their own databases and own tests, and I've got to load it. That's fine. And tweak things. So, the damage for the polearm's too much, so let's change it down. And that can be done so quickly and without having to look through tons of code to find where you hard coded it. It's just structured nicely. Like, I mean, look at this. You see these okay, let's get rid of that. You see all these and you think, okay, I need to change the damage for a weapon. Which table am I going to look at? The weapon table. And then we have a look at the weapon table and we're like, oh, we need to change the damage. Well, how hard is it to find what the damage of the weapon is? Maybe the column that says weapon damage. So as you can see, it's just easy, and if you can learn SQLite or any database thing, or even XML or whatever, it's just that much easier. And to be honest, this took me half a day to learn SQLite. I thought it would take me all long weekend, but it only took me half a day. It's so easy. And really powerful, the whole data-driven design thing. The more you can keep external to the actual code, the more your code becomes about the gameplay, and the tweaking of your game can be done by game designers. Don't even have to be a programmer to tweak this stuff, you know what I mean? So let's close that. And I think that's mostly what I wanted to tell you guys about. Besides, I made some cool weapons. Show you them. They're not all textured. You saw some of them. Here's a cool shield. I think it's pretty cool. Cool. Oh, there's the axe. You already seen that. Ooh, one-handed sword. Double blade. Anyway. Enough of that. So, yeah. Oops. Press the button. Yeah, so, on and off the topic, I hope you like my new menu system. It looks a lot nicer in a proper resolution. This is just reduced for the video's sake. It's pretty cool. You can go in and stuff, and say, for example, before I had it a bit differently, but now if you click on LAN, which I'm not going to do now because I haven't implemented it yet, a window will come up here on the right, and you'll be able to make your game and create your game, and then again, going back to the data-driven design, you'll say, oh, I want to choose map, the map called Valley of Decay or whatever, and that map might be ID1, and it can load all the information about the map from the database without you having to code it. Even yeah, so you could add maps to the game without even having to code, which is really nice. So if you go to options, it fades them out, and options will come up here and join game. I don't like how it goes and fades every time you go back. It's kind of annoying. Still need a back button. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this is coming along. And I hope you learned something. Yeah, I currently don't have a combat stance for the staff user, which is called a diviner. It's actually the healer in the game. Healers with blades, really? That's cool. Can't deny that. I mean, it looks horrible because I can't texture very well, but my brother can do that. Anyway, catch you later. Have a good one. SQLite for the win.